What up, what up, what up, everybody? What's good with everybody? What's going on? What's going on? Let's check everything, make sure everything is good. Make sure y'all can hear me. What's going on? What's going on with everybody? Good morning, good evening, good night. Whatever part of the world you're in, man. What's cracking with everybody? Hit that like button as you come through and holler at me. Drop your boy a comment. Hit that like button for me. And make sure everything working. Alright, we good. Alright, y'all. So it's been a big week for Pacquiao fans, man. All week long it's been crazy news coming out. Manny Pacquiao announced his big announcement. He announced that he had a big announcement coming about a week ago. And ever since then, I think fans have just been patiently anticipating what's coming, man. And I'm trying to keep everybody up to date with the news, what's going on, what's possibly coming down the pike. I think everybody knows by now that there's a conversation going on, negotiations going on with Bob Arum, Terence Crawford, Manny Pacquiao, to make this fight happen, basically, man, in 2021 and early 2021 at that. So let's be hopeful that it's actually going to happen. Got some new news, man, surrounding what Bob Arum has said. He's dropped some comments about the possibility of this fight. What's going on with Pacquiao? What's going on with Crawford, and what's going on with the possible negotiations with Porter? So let's get into that, man. Patrick Carter, let's go, champ. What's cracking, Patrick, man? What's good with you? He says, Cardinal Red Room, boxing talk. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, we come a long way, man, from when I first started doing this. So, trying to make it entertaining for you guys and try to make the Pacquiao boxing news, man, a little fun and interactive for everybody. We had a good chat the other day. I don't know if this was gonna be as big as the last one. It's hard to top your best hit, man. But we're gonna make it do what it do, man. Hold on, I gotta pull these articles up real fast. All right, so the latest news coming out surrounding this fight, Terence Crawford versus Manny Pacquiao, is Bob Arum. Crawford could fight Pacquiao or Porter next. So, Bob Arum is acknowledging that the deal is out there. He's acknowledging that Pacquiao, yes, did offer him this fight for Terence Crawford at $40 million for Pacquiao, $10 million for Crawford. It would be up to Bob Arum and Terence Crawford to figure out their split of the money when it comes to what they get. But he is acknowledging that they are in negotiations at the moment. He's acknowledging the fight date, which is sometime in May 15th, sometime around that date. And he's acknowledging that the offer's on the table. So, yeah, people keep asking me, is it official? Is it official? It's not officially signed, but it's officially been offered. So, look at it that way. What's good, Pac? Yo, what's good, Red? What's good, Pac? Appreciate you for coming through, man. I was going to come back on last night, man, but I was so tired. And then, I ended up staying, because I stayed up all night long last night, man, just fooling around, man. Trying to be 18 and 19 again. So I've been dragging all day. I was going to do this video like 10 hours ago and just was, it is what it is, man. We're going to get it in now, though. Hit that like button for me. You already know, man, as y'all come through, Pacquiao that like button for me. You got to uppercut it, jab it, hook it, whatever you can do. Just, let me know that y'all in here. All right, let's get in this article, man. So, Bob Arum, Crawford could fight Pacquiao or Porter next. Bob Arum said he met with Sean Porter's dad, Kenny Porter, to start a preliminary discussion for a fight against Terence Crawford in the spring. Former IBF welterweight champion Porter, 31-3-1-17 KOs, is one of two options on the table for WBO 147 champion Crawford's next fight. Arum says Manny Pacquiao is also interested in facing Crawford next, and that's the fight. The fight has a better chance of happening, and that's the fight. I guess they meant, and that's the fight that has a better chance of happening. But you know how spell check be getting you when you be sending messages. They got it be getting past the reporters too when they put out their articles. Stuff don't be always. It don't read like it's supposed to. But that's very interesting that he's saying that's the more likely of the two fights that's could possibly happen, man. He says that matchup is preferable for Crawford because it'll bring in more money than a Crawford-Porter fight would, says Arum. Manny Pacquiao wants big money. Pacquiao reportedly wants $40 million to fight Crawford, and that might be too high of a figure for Arum to agree with. Now here's the thing about that, because a lot of people ask. Patrick Carter said, I seen someone posted about Crawford agreeing to Spence split demands. Wow. When did you hear about that, Patrick? Was that something that dropped today? Because I would be really interested in how much that split actually is in dollar signs for Terence Crawford. Because if Pacquiao's offering him 10, and then Errol Spence is offering him a 60-40 split, I wonder how much of that 60-40 split actually equates to millions. So is it like 5, 6, 7 million, or is the Spence fight worth 10 million? Like the Pacquiao fight seems to be worth 10 million. It's gonna be interesting to see. Could you break that down a little bit more for me, Patrick? Let me finish up this article. We told Bob Arum I get 40 million, and Crawford gets 10 million. Pacquiao said to the Daily Tribune in the Philippines. The question is, will a fight between Pacquiao and Pacquiao? Man, whoever wrote this article, they didn't even proofread it, because it's supposed to say the question is, will a fight between Pacquiao and Crawford, but they got with a fight between Pacquiao and Pacquiao. With a fight between Pacquiao and Pacquiao, bring in 50 million in 2021. Crawford isn't a pay-per-view star, and this would arguably be a step backward for Pacquiao from his last fight against Keith Thurman. I totally can't agree with that, man. They're saying that if Pacquiao fights Crawford, it's a step back. I don't know who wrote this article. It's funny, man. So I'm gonna read that one more time. So it says, the question is, will a fight between Pacquiao and Pacquiao, but it's supposed to say Pacquiao and Crawford. So with a fight between Pacquiao and Pacquiao bring in 50 million in 2021, Crawford isn't a pay-per-view star, and this would arguably be a step backward for Pacquiao from his last fight against Keith Thurman. Do y'all agree that Keith Thurman is a bigger draw than Terence Crawford on pay-per-view? I'm not sure if I can agree with that. Let me know. I'll read a couple of the comments. Patrick Carter says, like 30 minutes ago. Wow. Via another YouTube channel. Whoa. Pac said, whoa, I wonder if that's true. Very interesting. If he accepted that, then where does Pacquiao go from here? I think his only next step would be to fight Yordenis, you guys. Because if Spence and Crawford are going to unify, then he needs to go after that other belt so he can still be in the talks when those two guys fight. It'll be interesting, man, if he actually accepts that fight. It throws a monkey wrench in the Pacquiao's plans, because it seems like Pacquiao's trying to reassert himself into the unification talks, and assert himself a little bit more when it comes to negotiating with these fighters. And now these fighters are trying to reestablish themselves as the top dog. So, the negotiation process heats up once again. So I gotta look into that, man. I'm gonna finish this article up, and I might look into that next after we finish this article. Pacquiao said I want. Okay, I got that one. Patrick Carter, Aki TV. He posted it 2 hours ago. Yeah, I know who Aki TV is, but his channel's pretty cool. I watched him before in the past, so if he posted it, he might have some news, man. He's pretty knowledgeable about boxing, and he drops pretty good boxing news, so I might check that out as soon as I get off her. I don't know how long I'm gonna be on her today either, so I'll check that out after I get off. Kush the Great says you gotta watch Aki whole video. Patrick Carter said the title says Terence Crawford agreed to Spence split request. Kush the Great says he agreed to Spence's demands to never bring him up. What do you mean by that, Kush? So he agrees to Spence's demands to never bring him up. You mean demanding to not bring his name up? As far as like don't bring his name up in any type of talks for a fight? Because you said not to fight. Let me get back in this article, man. So let me know. Do y'all agree that Terence Crawford is a lesser draw than Keith Thurman on pay-per-view? Would y'all say that the Keith Thurman pay-per-view versus Pacquiao would do better numbers, or would have done better numbers than the Crawford Pacquiao fight? Kush, yes. Okay, so you saying that he's saying he don't bring him up in any type of negotiation talk. So it's very interesting. So if he's saying that, then I would probably lean toward he's gonna go ahead and fight Manny Pacquiao next. Then I would because the Sean Porter. We're gonna finish this article before I say anything else, man. Before I ruin what they said in the article. All right, so in terms of popularity and ability to sell a fight, Crawford isn't on the same level as Thurman. And are you who agrees to that, man? Who agrees that Crawford can't sell a pay-per-view versus Thurman? Do y'all feel like Thurman can sell more pay-per-views than Crawford, or do y'all feel like Crawford has become more popular than Thurman over the past year and a half that Thurman hasn't actually fought? Me personally, I think Crawford is probably now more popular than Thurman was. Even though Thurman, I don't think sold a lot. He would be able to sell a pay-per-view on his own. I still don't think Crawford could sell a pay-per-view on his own, but I think Crawford's still a bigger star at this point than Thurman is. Crawford isn't a big draw, and it's clearly too late in Pacquiao's career for him to be getting that kind of money unless he was fighting a rematch against Floyd Mayweather. And another thing to me is like since it's not going to be up to Bob Arum to put all the money up is why I think this fight has a really high probability of happening, since whoever is backing Manny Pacquiao and Paradigm Sports, whoever's putting the investors, blind investors that they have, putting the money up, I can really see this fight happening. Because anytime Bob Arum don't got to put a majority of the money up, you can bet that fight's probably going to happen. Let's see what y'all saying. Calgon A says Crawford versus Pacquiao. August last fight, Pacquiao versus Spence. Calvin says Pacquiao versus Crawford, a farewell fight of Pacquiao Spence. Patrick Carter says, yep, Thurman can sell more pay-per-view with his eyes closed than Crawford. I mean, I agree that Crawford's not a draw on pay-per-view, but I think since Thurman has been inactive, that I think Crawford might have snatched up a little bit of his popularity, and his name has become a little bit more popular than, maybe on the same level as Keith Thurman. Investors in Dubai. I can believe that. I don't think Bob Arum's going to have to put up a lot of money for this fight, so I don't see why he would turn it down. Only reason I can see him turning it down is if he really feels like Terence Crawford's not going to win, and he doesn't want to risk losing that one belt that Top Rank does hold in the welterweight division. So, Gone are the days where Pacquiao routinely brought in over 1 million pay-per-view buys. At this point, Pacquiao versus Crawford would only be lucky if it brought in 300,000 buys, which I can't agree with that either. I don't think I think because there's so many people sitting at home bored with nothing to do, I think a lot more people at this point will be willing to pay for that fight if they got to see it. I think especially real boxing fans, if they made that fight, I think a lot more people would be interested in actually watching it and be willing to actually pay for it, because it's not going to be as many people in the crowd. So those people that actually would be there in person are going to be buying the fight on pay-per-view. So I can't agree that it would only do 300,000 buys. At the least, I think it would do 500. It would do 500 or 600. I think a lot of people will want to see if Pacquiao gets knocked out by Crawford. A lot of people want to see if that's the last time we ever see Manny Pacquiao in a boxing ring. A lot of people think, Pacquiao's just too old. They haven't seen him in over a year and a half. So I think there's a lot more interest in whatever Pacquiao's next fight is. And I think he would actually be able to sell more than 300,000 pay-per-view buys. But, this is what they're saying. Starts preliminary discussions. Sean Porter's father, Kenny, came to see us, and we had preliminary discussions, and let's see if it can happen, said Arum to Fight Hype. About early talks about a fight between Sean Porter and Crawford. There's also Manny Pacquiao, who has said that he wants to fight Crawford. Let's see if that can happen. But as far as Crawford is concerned, he's in a good position, said Porter was complaining recently about only getting $1 million offer for Crawford. 37-0, 28 KOs fight. And that tells you the interest on Arum's part in the fight is very low, which I can agree with. I don't think Bob Arum is willing to put Terence Crawford in there with Sean Porter, because he already knows the fight's not going to sell. Terence Crawford can't sell a pay-per-view. Sean Porter is popular on free TV, but he's not popular enough to sell pay-per-views. So I think his next only option is to go with either you gotta take that 60-40 split with Earl Spence, or you gotta go with that Pacquiao fight, man. That's where the money's at, if you ask me. Pac says Bob Arum low ball first. Patrick Carter said Bob Arum needs to retire. He's almost out of the game, man. Well, he's not gonna be around too much longer. If this Crawford fight don't go, if he don't get this Crawford fight with Pacquiao, we might see him out of the welterweight boxing game as soon as next year if Crawford decides to fight a bum and then go sign with PBC. So, we might end up seeing that happen. Crawford might not want to risk fighting Manny Pacquiao. He might just say, hey, I'll fight a lower tier guy, keep my belt until my contract's up, and then go sign with PBC. And then I can make some better fights for myself. It would be a better strategy on his part if he did that. But if he's planning on staying with Top Rank, then, what's better than taking that Manny Pacquiao fight? Patrick Carter said Crawford can't even sell Girl Scout cookies. Which kind? The Thin Mints? He might be able to sell Thin Mints at Kroger's. You never know. Okay. Whatever amount that Porter has in his head that he wants for the Crawford fight might not be realistic. Arum wants to wait until Crawford's return in the ring. Spring, but it's still not a fight that will bring in a huge group, which I gotta agree with, man. It's not a big money fight. If Arum wants to pack a stadium like the newly created Allegiant in Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium, I believe that's what it's called, in Las Vegas, he would need Earl Spence or Pacquiao as the opponent for Crawford. Porter isn't a big enough draw. Porter is more of a B-side opponent for top guys. Spence, Pacquiao, and Crawford. Even if Porter were facing Danny Garcia or Keith Thurman, he'd likely be the B-side. Pacquiao more likely for Crawford. Obviously Manny Pacquiao because there's more money in a Manny fight, said Bob Arum. When asked which of the two fights are more probable for Crawford, I'm a big Sean Porter fan. He's a lovely kid and a brave warrior. No one in the welterweight division that goes in with Sean Porter gets an easy fight. Absolutely, that's what I would hope for. Yeah, said when asked if he's counting on Crawford facing Pacquiao or Porter next. Unless can bring in the kind of money that Pacquiao is asking to fight Crawford, it doesn't look realistic at this point. It might not be practical for Pacquiao to get even $20 million for a fight against Terence Crawford. What do y'all think about that? Is this fight actually worth $50 million? Is Pacquiao kind of like overselling himself at this point? Is he really being realistic with his demand of $40 million for that fight? Because what it's sounding like is they want Bob Arum to put up the whole $10 million, or maybe like $5 or $6 million for Terence Crawford, and then the investors are going to put up the rest, and the Pacquiao side of the fight. So, it's going to be interesting where this ends up going. Patrick Carter says Taco Garcia said he started light training, hoping to get a fight soon. He want to fight Pacquiao also. I keep hearing Taco Garcia's name come up, man, when it comes to and I'm end up making a thumbnail out of that, man. You got me laughing, man. I should have never brought that taco stuff. So Taco Garcia's name keeps coming up when it comes to fight Manny Pacquiao. Is he actually gonna? He might end up getting the fight if Bob Arum doesn't agree to this fight, and Earl Spence ends up fighting Yadanius, you guys. Porter ends up taking that $1 million split with Crawford. Then we might end up seeing Pacquiao have no other choice but to take on Taco Garcia. Taco Garcia in the springtime, man, and it's gonna be a crunchy fight. Believe me, it's gonna be a festive event if he takes on Taco Garcia. I mean, it's in all seriousness, man. To be completely honest, Mikey Garcia would give Manny Pacquiao a decent. Oh man, be quiet, girl. A decent fight, but he can't beat Manny Pacquiao, especially not an out of shape Mikey Garcia. I don't want to see an out of shape Mikey Garcia or a weight drain Mikey Garcia take on Manny Pacquiao. I'd much rather see Mikey Garcia in shape at his best try to take on Pacquiao, and that's gonna at least take a year to make that fight. So I don't see it happening, man. What if Mikey say no? I don't know. I don't know what Pacquiao goes after that. What up, Red? Necessary. What's cracking, bro? Appreciate you for coming through, man. Glad to see you, man. Hope your day went well. Extra sour cream. I don't know what happens if Mikey does say no. What if he goes, you know what, I'm out of shape. I can't, it's too soon. We gotta wait. At that point, I think the only place Pacquiao can go at that point would be Triple G. That would be his last. I think Triple G would be his last resort, and it would be a great fight with Triple G if he exhausts all his possible fights, which would be Crawford, Spence, you guys, Mikey, Ryan, and the Ryan fight is definitely not happening now. But Crawford, Spence, you guys, Mikey, if none of those guys agree to fight him, the only other way he could go is to go fight Triple G. I think that would be a huge fight. I think he would make nice money off of it. Can it be made that quick? I don't know. And with Triple G actually agreed. We never heard Triple G say anything about potentially fighting Pacquiao. I don't even remember when the talks were really big about a year ago about Pacquiao fighting Triple G. I don't remember Gennady Golovkin ever coming out and saying anything about fighting Pacquiao. I just remember him focusing on, because I think it was around the Canelo rematch time or something like that. So I don't right after the Canelo rematch. So I don't even remember Triple G ever even saying anything about fighting Pacquiao personally. But I think that's the only other place he could go if none of those other guys agree to the fight. And if none of those other guys agree to the fight with Pacquiao, you could say one thing, that they're trying to freeze him back out of the welterweight division, because they just simply don't want to fight him. They don't want to fight him. They don't want to risk their career with the old guy, because if you lose to him, well, that's the end of your boxing career, basically. So it's going to be really interesting where all this goes. I'm going to finish this article. Let me jump into the chat for a second. Catch Money says, after the Crawford versus Brook fight, post-interview, Bob Arum said the fight was set in Qatar until C19, which is true. I mean, they did have something in talks, so you would think that they would just drum back up those old talks and just renegotiate it in a different way. But all those investors that were there then still there. Obviously, Pacquiao knows something that we don't know, or he wouldn't even brought this whole situation up, trying to get fans' hopes up. But I actually think it's going to happen. I think they're just trying to agree on the dollar signs right now. Necessary says everybody who had Robert Garcia in their corner against Pac lost. Which is true. I mean, everybody who had Garcia in there, he always loses to Freddie Roach. That's why I think he don't like Freddie Roach. I think that's why Teddy Atlas don't like Freddie Roach either, because I think the couple of times he's faced off with Roach has beat him with his different fighters. Patrick Carter says if worse comes to worse, Pac versus Porter. But what if Porter goes and fights Crawford? What if he does agree to take that $1 million? What then? So if he can't fight Crawford, he can't fight Porter, he can't fight you guys, he can't fight Spence, because Crawford and Spence get it on, or Crawford and Porter get it on, and then you guys and Spence get it on. Where else does he go from there? He would either have to go fight Mikey, or if Mikey turns him down, he would have to go back to Ryan. It would be horrible for him have to go back to the Ryan Garcia talks. I think that would be horrible for Matty Pacquiao. Necessary said, Red, do you think Bud will take the $10 million fight the triple OG GOAT from the Peens? $10 million would be the most money Bud ever made in a match. I'm surprised Bud ain't jump on it. Well, it really ain't up to Bud, to tell you the truth. It's up to Bob Arum to accept that split, because he has money. He's gonna have to, a little bit of money he's gonna have to put up. It might not be $40 million or anything close to that he has to put up, but he's gonna have to put up some type of money for that fight. So I mean, to be completely honest, I do feel like he would have jumped on it already, but you can always negotiate yourself up. So I think what they're doing right now is just negotiating up. I think Bob Arum says, okay, you got 10 to play with. Well, let me see if I can get that 10 to 15, or if I can get that 15 to 20, or So I think we're just gonna get maybe a week maybe a week and a half, or a week or two of negotiations before they actually announce the fight. Because you haven't heard anything from Spence saying, hey, well, I'll take that Pacquiao fight. You got $10 million to play with. You would think Spence would have came running after Woodworks once he heard that Pacquiao had $10 million to offer somebody for a fight. You think he would come out and try to get that $10 million. But I don't remember hearing anything from Spence about trying to go after Pacquiao that $10 million when he broke that news. So it's gonna be interesting over the next week and a half of negotiations what actually comes about. Red said, okay, I got that one already. Let me finish this article up real fast. Unless Arum can bring, okay, I did that part. You have to figure that if Pacquiao wants $20 million, Crawford would want similar money to make the match happen. If Crawford insists on getting $15 million for a Pacquiao fight, which I just touched on that, will the match generate $35 million to cover their purse? In this day and age, probably not. Crawford isn't a big enough star, and the 42-year-old Pacquiao is no longer the marquee guy he once was a decade ago. So, like I just said, they're going to try their best to negotiate up. If he got 10, they're going to want to try to go for 20 or 15 or 20, at least 15. So, it's going to be interesting whether he just goes ahead and agrees to say, hey, I'll take the 10. Bob Arum can take 5 of that 10. I'll take 5 of that 10. I'm getting my $5 million guarantee like I always get, which I think that's why Pacquiao threw out that number of $10 million, because he knows Terence Crawford is guaranteed somewhere around $5 million a fight. Okay, if I give you your $5 million plus another $5 million, then Bob Arum should just, be happy with that, because he's getting a free $5 million just to put his fighter up. So it's a clever negotiation tactic on Pacquiao's part, but it's gonna be on Bob Arum and Crawford to counter that offer with something realistic, because if they come out and say, hey, well, due to the risk of the fight, we want $20 million. You can say probably 100% the fight's not gonna happen. If they come back with a $20 million offer, this fight ain't happening. If they stay around 13, 14 million, $15 million, it can potentially happen. I could see Pacquiao actually getting that fight signed in the next couple of weeks. Arum wants Crawford to fight in the late spring. I would hope to do the fight in late spring so I can count on at least some spectators. Arum continued, I can't keep doing these fights with no spectators. And I talked to the governor in Nevada, and he thinks we can go. We're going to be opening up slowly in May. Certainly by June, maybe we can do an Allegiant Stadium or T-Mobile or MGM Grand at least 60 to 70% capacity, said Arum. So, it puts it right around that time where I told y'all it's going to be sometime in May, probably either early May, mid-May, late May. I'm still leaning on that Cinco de Mayo date, which would be May 1st. But the more we creep into March, and if they don't have this signed by at least March, it will probably happen more like in June, sometime in June. But let's move on. Crawford can definitely fight in the spring, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be against Pacquiao or Porter. The lowball offer that Porter is talking about getting from Crawford fight tells you all you need to know about the level of interest they have in him as Terence Crawford's opponent. Crawford versus Porter likely won't sell a ton of buys on pay-per-view, and it never will. Moreover, it's a risky fight for Crawford to take, as he's someone that needs to have a space between him and his opponents to get his shots off. With Porter, he would smother Crawford all night, lean on his chest, and beat him up. Counterpunches are helpless when they're trapped in an inside fight, or counterpunchers are helpless when they're trapped in an inside fight, which I can agree with. I think Sean Porter, he's a beast, man. I don't dislike Porter. I think he's a bad opponent, but I just think Crawford might be a little bit too much for Porter. But he could possibly score something big in there. He might, like he said, get in on the inside and really do some work. A lot of people think Crawford's chin hasn't been tested, and Porter's the perfect guy to go in there and test Crawford's chin up. But will we get that fight? Look, based off that $1 million offer, based off Bob Arum wanting butts in the seats, based off what he just said about the governor of Nevada and the 60%, 70% capacity, which would be if you can put 50,000 people or 60,000 people in a stadium, that's somewhere around, if it's 60,000 seats, that's somewhere around 30,000 people. So that's a pretty good gate at $100, $200, $300, $400 a seat. That's a pretty good gate. So I don't think it's gonna be Porter, and I think that is a dangerous fight for for Crawford. So I'm not looking for the Porter fight to actually happen. Arum likely knows that, which is why he's not excited about making that fight. Porter is all wrong for Crawford, and he always will be. Even if they made this fight in 10 years from now, Porter would take away all Crawford's weapons by staying in close and terrorizing him. Which is true. Crawford needs a certain type of opponent to be successful in the ring, man. Even Kell Brook was having success against Crawford up until Crawford stopped him. If he didn't hit him with that punch, would he have actually beat Kell Brook? Kell Brook was doing good in that fight, but we all saw when Brook got hit solidly, he's a damaged fighter. Let's see what you guys are saying right now. Ricardo or Attilo, what fight would you want most to see in the welterweight division? What would be the best fight that they can make right now if they had if everything could come out right? The best two fights I think in the welterweight division would be Crawford and Spence, and then Pacquiao versus the winner of that fight. Because I don't want to see him have to fight both of those guys. I think those two guys should have to get it on. They're the best of this generation, the best two guys in the welterweight division of this generation. And then Pacquiao's the best of the last generation, and still a top 1, 2, or 3, depending on who you ask, of this generation. So, I mean, any way you can mix and match those three guys up, I think that would be the best fight. Ricardo said, what possible fight in the welterweight division would you want to see most? I just answered that. I think he just asked it twice. Catch Money says, Cinco de Mayo, Pacquiao versus Crawford. I can see it happening, man. It could definitely be coming. Patrick Carter, most likely May. Definitely. If they finally announce something next week, maybe tomorrow or midweek, maybe Friday of next week, you can definitely lean on that Cinco de Mayo date. Ortilio, I can't say your first name. What possible fight in the... Okay, we already did that one. Bobby Rick says, LOL, I don't know what he's talking about Nevada. The fight's going to be Dubai with a $1 million ring side seats. This is big money in the Middle East. Sign the contract, bud, and let's see in the ring. We'll see where they do take this fight. I mean, it's gonna be up to... Look, Bob Arum has to agree to some terms of this fight too. He's gonna want some type of advantage, and I think if they take it to Dubai or Qatar or somewhere over in the Middle East, Bob Arum might feel like Pacquiao has an advantage because Adi Attar has so much connection over there. So I think he might feel like Pacquiao has a little bit more of an advantage, so he might want to try to keep it here in the U.S. I think Crawford might even want to try to keep it here in the U.S. simply to feel less like he's not being taken advantage of, for lack of a better word. But we'll have to see if it's all going to depend on if they can put how many butts they can put in the seat. I think even over in the Middle East, it's going to depend on how many people they're allowing in a stadium. It's not going to depend on whether Bob Arum wants it over there or whether Pacquiao wants it over there, because both sides still have to agree to where the fight's going to be staged at. Bobby Rick, just how Manny was making $3 to $2 million before De La Hoya. After that fight, he was making 20 to 30. These new fighters just want a big paycheck without doing nothing. Man, I can't do nothing but agree with you, because if they wanted to get those big fights and get those big paychecks, they would just go ahead and fight each other. So it goes to show you that they don't want the legacy. They just want the money. So, I mean, but it's the sign of the times. You know, these guys, they're a little bit smarter than the old school fighters, I guess you could say. They're a little bit more business savvy. I think that would be a better word to use than the old school fighters. So, hey, they more about their money than they are about great fights or legacy or belts or anything like that. They more about, hey, what are the dollar signs right? You know, this is what I'm trying to do with my future, or you know, they're just kind of trying to use the sport. If you want to put it that way, a lot of these guys are just using the sport. Are we gonna get this fight? Who all thinks this fight's actually gonna happen? Who thinks Terence Crawford is actually gonna agree to this $10 million split? This $50 million fight with the 90-10 split, basically. So it would be 40 to Pacquiao and then 10 to Crawford and Arum. That's the Mayweather effect. I talked about this so many times, that Mayweather effect. And it just is what it is, man. I mean, these young guys, they're not in it for anything else but that paycheck, man. They don't care about the legacy. If Crawford has a brain and balls to do it, I feel like, man, I feel like really deep down that Crawford and Arum are kind of worried now. I think they're a little bit worried. I think Crawford's been worried because he knows if he takes a loss, it's over. I think Bob Arum, to a lesser extent, because he don't really care at this point, because he's already taken so many losses on Crawford's career, that he's just moved. He's trying to move on to other fighters, and I don't think he really cares if he loses Crawford to the PBC. But I think he wants to get as much money off of Crawford before it's all said and done as he can. So we'll have to see. It's gonna be interesting how this all works itself out, man. Catch Money said, I think so, Red. Gonna happen. Just a gut feeling. I do too, man. I just feel like there's nothing else out there, you know, for either one of those guys. You know, why not just put it all on the line? You know, win, lose, or draw. Let's go ahead and see who's the best of the best. And if Errol Spence doesn't want to fight Pacquiao, then the next best thing is Terence Crawford. Even if Pacquiao's too much for Crawford, I think fans will respect Crawford more if he does take the fight. I think they're not gonna respect him anymore if he don't take the fight. So his career is already down in the gutter, and if he don't take this fight now, he's really gonna get drugged through the mud by fans. You know, he's not gonna be popular anymore in a year, and he might not get another big fight. Then, you know, Spence might really freeze him out at that point, because if Spence gets a hold of that belt you guys has, he's probably definitely not gonna fight Crawford. He's just gonna sit back and relax and fight, you know, make the money off of the fights he can get, and just forget about Crawford and that split. Because why go fight Crawford if you're already making big money? You already got better fights over here to make. There's no need for him to even cross the street and go deal with Bob Arum and Terence Crawford. Bobby Rick says, Bob Arum don't care. He worried about the Fury and Joshua fight. I mean, that might be right, man. That could be completely right. I think Bob Arum's trying to move on from Terence Crawford. I think at this point he's willing to lose Crawford to PBC for the right price. It just is what it is. He needs to go on and let the business go and just pass it on to somebody who wants to deal with these younger guys. Because Bob Arum has a different way of doing things, and it's not along the lines of how the new sport of boxing is going, or this new wave that PBC has put out there. He's not riding that new welterweight, at least not in the welterweight division. He doesn't want to ride that new wave. He wants to do it like he used to do it. It's still working for him in other weight classes. Whether that holds up in the other weight classes, we'll have to wait and see. But as of right now, in the welterweight division, Top Rank is that there's nobody in the welterweight division, and Terence Crawford is his only, and even Terence Crawford is losing the money, which is absolutely ridiculous if you ask me. Orlito says Maypac 2 maybe has a shot. Maybe they're just being silent about it right now, but both legends still in training and extremely in shape. We don't know. Yeah, nobody knows at this point, man. We just know that Pacquiao did officially offer this to Terence Crawford, and now it's in Terence Crawford because, hey, those guys on that side, Terence Crawford and Bob Arum, came out after that fight and said that they wanted to fight Manny Pacquiao. Said that they wanted the Pacquiao fight next after he fought Brook. They got on TV, said they wanted that fight next. We didn't hear from Pacquiao immediately, but now he seems to have made it to where, hey, if you come up with this amount of money, we can make it happen. It's in their court now. The ball's in their court now. You talked up the fight. He put it together. This is the money we need to make the fight happen. So it's up to Bob Arum and Terence Crawford to just agree to the terms. To me, since Pacquiao offered it, they already got the money and the investors behind the fight as far as their half. So it's completely up to Bob Arum and Terence Crawford at this point. Whether they accept this fight or not, we just, as fans, we gotta wait and see. Don QQ says Don King looked like Dracula. I ain't seen Don King lately, man. I'm about to have to look that up. Bobby Rick, honestly, I was shook when Manny took incentive and put the offer out there. Initiative and put the offer out there. I'm never shook for Pacquiao, man. I feel like Pacquiao, if he decides to take the toughest fight, he's taking that toughest fight because he still feels like he's in shape enough and still has enough left in the tank to pull this off. So I'm never fearful for Pacquiao taking the fight, even if it is against the best guys out there. I'm never fearful of him getting knocked out or beat up or anything, because he's already been through that, So I love his warrior mentality. So I'm never afraid for him to take a fight. Is it a big fight to be taken with a year layoff? Hell yeah, it's a big fight to be taken with a year layoff. But if anybody can pull it off, I say Pacquiao can pull it off. Honestly, I think he can pull it off. Don QQ says, shout out to Dracula Boxing Nation. I hear you, bro. All right, man. Bobby Rick, to me, Crawford has no choice. If he takes Porter, he's going to be called. If he don't take this fight, he's definitely going to get a lot of backlash from the fans. He's not going to. He's already not a fan favorite, but he's going to be a super non-fan favorite after that. Like, fans are going to drag him through the mud for not taking this fight. So it is what it is. Manuel says put a pressure on Uncle Bob Crawford to take the fight. I agree with you. If not going to happen today, certainly going to happen. Not going to happen forever. Hey, man, if it don't happen, it just don't happen. If Crawford and Spence never get it on, the sport of boxing, as far as the welterweight division, is slowly going to get forgotten about. I think people are going to end up moving on to 135, the 140 division, because that's becoming real popular. and they're just gonna kind of just forget about the welterweight division. Bond Q said, I got Crawford winning over Spence. Why do you think he's gonna beat Spence, man? What do you think the one attribute Crawford has that Spence doesn't have? Why do you think that supersedes what attribute Spence's has over Crawford, or vice versa? KUYAJTV, Crawford has never made more than 10 million plus. His pay-per-views are horrible. Laughable. The thing is, Crawford has not fought any of the top 147 fighter, 147 opponents: Spence, Pacquiao, Thurman, Porter, and Danny Garcia. Hey man, I agree with you. Crawford's resume is horrible. He's one of those guys who I hate to call him a paper champion, because he is a decent fighter. I mean, he's got skills in boxing. He's got speed. He's got he can switch hit. He's got pretty good technique. He doesn't really have a lot of power, and I'm not sure, but a lot of people say his chin is horrible. But I've never really seen him get super socked. Everybody says Green Mean Machine almost knocked him out. I still haven't had a chance to go back and check that footage out yet. But I mean, he's not the worst fighter in the world, but he's not the best fighter in the world either. So. But as far as his pay-per-view buys go, they are horrible. His resume is horrible. It would behoove him to take this fight just to become more popular. If he plans on staying at welterweight, if he plans on moving up to another division, then this fight really don't matter. He can just go get some more experience by fighting lower tier fighters, and then move up and get a big money fight with Canelo. I mean, that's always possible for Crawford. He doesn't have to stay at 147 forever and keep fighting nobodies. He can just move up and do like Earl Spence wants to do and go get a fight with Canelo. I mean, that would be an option for him. He can go fight a bunch of junkyard workers for the next year, and then go fight Canelo in a year after he got more experience. In the meantime, he can just say, hey, I don't have to fight Earl Spence. He don't want to give me the money I want. I'm going to fight the fighters I can get, and then I'm going to move up and pursue a fight with either the Charlos, or pursue a fight with Canelo. Or he could fight one or two more times at welterweight, and then go fight the Charlos, and then go fight Canelo. Slowly move up. It's all up to Terence Crawford where he decides to go from here. If he wants to make one of the biggest paydays of his life, he should go ahead and take his fight, because he's not going to get other opportunities like this at welterweight, in the welterweight division. KUYJTV, not even you guys. Everyone at 147 are fighting each other, but Crawford, dude needs to get away from Bob Arum if he wants the top names. He definitely needs to be under the PBC banner. The problem with him going over the PBC is that he get lost in the crowd. It's gonna be a lot better fights over there, but is he even ready for those guys? Would it be better for him to stay at top rank, fight a few more garbage men, and then just move up to 150 or 150? What is it? 152, 150, 152, I think it is, and fight the Charlos. Fight the Charlos, and then move up to 154 or 160 and fight Golovkin or Canelo. That's always possible if he's just going after the money. He doesn't have to keep trying to deal with Earl Spence and the rest of the welterweight division. He can always move up if he wants to. Bobby Ricks, this will be Crawford's biggest payday of his career. People need to stop looking at the split and look at how much he's getting guaranteed. Exactly. It's not even about the split. Because that's not all you're getting. That's just what you're getting off the purse. So you're getting your purse, which would be like $5 million. Then you're gonna get your split of the pay-per-view, and you're gonna get your small little percentage of the gate. Because mostly the promoter and the house takes the gate, but I'm pretty sure they might get 1 or 2% off the gate too. So that's millions of dollars. That might end up being another million. $500,000 to $1 million just off the gate. and maybe another $1, $2, $3 million off of pay-per-view. So he's going to end up with somewhere around $10 million all together once it's all said and done for that fight. So it would end up being the biggest payday of his life and his career. Will he take it? I don't know, man. It's up to Crawford. We got to see what Crawford's plan is for the next year. That's a real danger. People got to understand, too, fighting Pacquiao is not a easy fight or even a smart fight for Terence Crawford. It's a very dangerous fight for him because of his style, and it's a very dangerous fight for the longevity of his career. Because if he loses, it's all over, man. He already don't got no bargaining chips when it comes to trying to fight Earl Spence. So what happens if he loses to Pacquiao? It is completely over for Terence Crawford. So we gotta understand that he's got to make a really good chess move right here as far as the money go, which is why I think that $10 million is probably not going to stand. That $10 million is probably going to end up getting bumped up to maybe 12, 13, 14, maybe even as high as $15 million. And Pacquiao might come down to somewhere around $32 to $33 million just so they can make maybe even $30 million so they can make the fight happen. I think that's what it's going to come down to, is because of the risk for Terence Crawford's career. I think it might come down to them putting up maybe at least $5 million more to make the fight happen for both sides, for Crawford and for Bob Arum. QQ says Earl Spence does have a better resume, but Crawford is a half fish crawfish. Oh man, y'all silly as hell, man. He's a big fish in a small pond. Bobby Rick, Manny checkmated Crawford. LOL. Bobby Rick, 15 million max. Yeah, I think it might end up. He might end up having to go to 15 million to make the fight happen. Pacquiao might have to come down on his number just a little bit to make the fight happen. Which is more realistic for the days and times. $30 million is still really good for Pacquiao, because he's going to end up, like I said, getting somewhere around 40 to 50 million anyway after the gate and the pay-per-view money gets added in there. So, I hope if they ask him for 15 million, I hope Pacquiao's willing to go down just a little bit just to make the fight happen. That's just me. I think he deserves the 40, but if the fight can happen at 30, why not take the 30 million? Richard said, Orlito says, I've heard Pacquiao Marquez 5. What do you think about that? I mean, I want to say it's possible, but I'm not sure. Marquez has been out of the boxing for almost 10 years. So even if he did come back, how good is Marquez gonna be after 8, 9, almost 9, 10 years of inactivity? How good of a fight could that actually be? Would I want to see Pacquiao knock Marquez out to get his revenge? It would be nice for him to be able to get his revenge, but I don't know what type of shape Marquez is in at this point. Is that fight even worth it for Pacquiao at this point? Because it wouldn't be like, I don't think a lot of people would even tune in to watch that fight. What if Pac beat Bud easily? You saying what if Pacquiao went in there, landed a punch like he landed on Keith Thurman, but instead of just knocking Thurman down, he knocked Crawford out? What happened if he knocks Crawford out? It would be the instant ending to Terence Crawford's boxing career, and Pacquiao would shoot from just being a superstar into ultra fame. I don't know what ultra fame looks like. I guess it's somewhere around Michael Jackson, in between Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, and Tiger Woods, with a little bit of Muhammad Ali sprinkled in there. But you would see Manny Pacquiao shoot into ultra fame, somewhere into ultra fame. and I don't even know what that means. That's just a word I made up. If he beat him easily, it would be it would definitely be the instant ending to Terence Crawford's boxing career. QQ says, what if Canelo speak English real good, but he can't, he act like he don't understand? I be wondering that about Manny Pacquiao, because I mean, if you watch his when he does interviews in the Philippines, he speaks in English in certain words. Like he'll be speaking Tangalo, I think is what it's called, and then he'll go into English. And I'm like, why is he, if the interview's in the Philippines, why is he speaking in English in certain words and that? Does he actually understand real English really better than what he be playing? Like, because I be thinking he be playing sometimes, man. Like he don't really not understand what people are saying. He's just acting like. I be thinking that about a lot of foreigners sometimes, but it is what it is, man. I wish I knew other people's languages sometimes. I wish I knew other languages, because when I get around, foreigners, I be like, man, I wonder what they talking about. It seems like their conversation is so good, especially when I be watching the Philippines news. I watch a lot of Philippine news to try to see if they're talking about Pacquiao's potential next fight, but I don't understand it, so I just got to catch the English words that they be saying sometimes. But that is real interesting. Laugh my A off. Then Earl will hide. Then Orleo said, I don't think that would be an easy for the both of them. I'm a Pac fan, but I believe that Crawford has enough to be with him in the ring. After Pac, I would stand Crawford. Easy fight. Look, I think it's not. I don't think Crawford's a pushover. I just feel like Pacquiao is on a different level, and Crawford hasn't been tested, and it's going to be the biggest fight of his career, be the biggest payday of his career, and I think Pacquiao's the biggest challenge. And if Pacquiao does deliver, he actually beats him or knocks him out, it would be completely insane, man. At this point, it would be completely insane. Don says Pacquiao is deceptive. I would agree with that. His skill sets, they look average sometimes to certain people, I guess. But when you see him go full bore, when you see Pacquiao turn that machine on, it's something you've never seen in the sport of boxing. I've seen him do it so many times. It's crazy, man. I just want to see it keep. I just want to see him keep turning the machine on. I never want to see him turn the machine off. Eventually, he's gonna have to let it go, but I don't never want to see him turn the machine off. Papi Chino says, that's a dope name, Papi Chino. Salute to you, bro. Salute Carter Red. Papi Chino, what's cracking, man? We got 22 people in here right now, man. I got 14 likes so far, man. I appreciate everybody for coming through, smashing that like button for me. Pacquiao that like button for me right now, man. If y'all can, if y'all ain't here, y'all ain't hit the like button for me. Uppercut it, jab it, hook it, all that, man. Just let me know y'all ain't here. And drop me a comment, man, if you ain't dropped me a comment yet. Don says, it only takes two to tango. Crawford will be in trouble. Man, I agree, man. If the money's there, the fight's on the table, let's just go ahead and make it, man. Let's just give the fans what they want for once. This is why boxing is such a horrible sport sometimes, man. Especially when it comes to making the fights fans want to see. Don says, Bond QQ says, why do so many fighters wear turtleneck sweaters? Tank, Spence, Crawford, Mayweather, Canelo, Ryan Garcia. I don't know about that one. I never noticed that, but you know what? I do have a thumbnail with Earl Spence that he got a turtleneck sweater. Now that you said that, I don't know why they wear turtleneck sweaters, man. Maybe they be busting the necks out of their t-shirts, and that's the only thing they can put on. They be working out too hard. I don't know about that one. Hope Pac would have a great would have great stamina if that bout with Crawford takes place. I don't question Pac. That's one thing about Pacquiao I never questioned is his stamina because of the fact that he runs so much. He's one of those guys who likes running, man. You know, I've never been big on running. I ran track a little bit when I was younger, but I didn't like running. That's not one of them things I like doing unless I'm playing basketball. But Pacquiao is one of those guys. He could just run and run and run. I'm more into like walking long distances with weights and stuff is more my thing, more than running. So I don't worry about Pacquiao's stamina at all. That's the one thing in his arsenal I never worry about. Let's see. Bobby Rick, also, you have to keep in mind that Crawford has never had this much pressure on him. Big crowd, crazy press coverage, and publicity. The aura of Pac is going to be different. Exactly. I think a lot of people don't. A lot of young fighters don't necessarily take that into mind. How big of an atmosphere surrounds a Manny Pacquiao fight, and I think that overwhelms a lot of people to where they think that they're just going into another normal fight. I think that's what caught Thurman and Broner off guard was the size of the fight. Maybe not so much Broner because he's used to being around Mayweather, but I think that caught Thurman off guard. I think the whole atmosphere around the size of the fight with Pacquiao might have caught him off guard a little bit. But Papi Chulo says, which Pacquiao version is your favorite? The red trunks with flames, the Pacquiao, the pound for pound, number one Pacquiao, bearded 2012 Pacquiao of the legendary socks. I don't diabetic socks. I don't know what version of Pacquiao. I think that's what you're trying to say is my favorite. What version of Pacquiao is my favorite version of Pacquiao is when he was fighting Barrera and Morales. I think those are his best fights. I think those were his two best. Barrera, Morales, Margarito, Cotto, and then De La Hoya are probably my favorite fights of Pacquiao. Necessary says, Red, do you think they will call Pac the pound for pound best if he beats Bud? Man, they're going to make up so many excuses for why he beat Crawford. If he actually pulls this off, there's going to be so many excuses made up. Because they never want to crown, for some reason, Manny Pacquiao the best fighter out there. They always want, and I hate to say this, but I feel like, especially in America, they want an American fighter to represent the best of boxing. And I think that's for all sports, especially American sports casters. They want mostly Americans to represent sports. When it comes to basketball, they would rather have an American be the best basketball player. Like when Dirk Nowitzki was the best guy out there, he was the best player out there at one point. I think everybody would rather say LeBron or Kobe was the best player, but at the time, Nowitzki was probably the best player in the league. So I just feel like I feel like they're gonna find a way to shade Pacquiao, even if he beats Spence. I don't think ESPN will crown him the pound for pound king, even though according to them, if he beats Spence, he just beat the pound for pound king. So I think it's gonna be a lot of excuses made if Pacquiao does actually get the fight and does actually beat Spence. Manuel says Pacquiao during his early stint in America, Coach Freddie is said to be he is the first English tutor of Pacquiao. Ha ha ha! Sorry, Coach Freddie. I wouldn't doubt that. He might have taught Manny Pacquiao how to speak English. Bobby Rick, LOL, diabetic socks. Orlito says, LOL, Papi Chulo, that's the red flame trunks. So when he fought, cause I can't exactly remember. I think he did have red flames on when he fought Barrera and when he fought uh, Morales. You know what's crazy? How I discovered Manny Pacquiao was I was actually a Barrera fan. My when I first really got into watching boxing on my own without my father taking me to watch Tyson fight was watching Barrera. I got into watching Antonio Barrera fight on I think it was Friday Night Fights, and then when he fought Morales, I became an even bigger fan. I didn't like Morales at first, but when Morales beat him, I became a Morales fan. And then Pacquiao came on the scene, and Pacquiao, I saw Barrera was fighting this guy named Pacquiao, so I watched the Barrera Pacquiao fight, and Pacquiao just basically picked him apart. And I'm like, who is this guy? Who's this Pacquiao guy? And that was basically the fight that made me a Pacquiao fan, was when he fought Barrera that first time. So I had seen him around a couple of times, but I never followed him up until that point. I was actually following Mark Antonio Barrera. With no fear, Papi Chulo says, with no fear. QQ says, who would win, Jamel and Jamal Charlo versus Danny Garcia with a brick in his head? I would say that if either one of the Charlos fought Danny Garcia, they probably both would beat him. They're a lot bigger than Danny Garcia is. I don't think Danny Garcia. I don't think he has enough to beat it, because he couldn't do anything with Earl Spence Jr. So I definitely think he wouldn't be able to do anything with either one of the Charlo brothers. Especially not the one who's still undefeated. He might be able to hang in there for a little while with the one that got knocked out, but not the one who's still undefeated. But I would say both of them beat him. How strong was Prime Margarito with a brick in his hand? You know what? I think Pacquiao still would have beat Margarito with the brick. We never know. Margarito might have had them brick gloves when he fought Pacquiao. We don't know. He didn't get caught till he went up against Cotto. So he actually might have been cheating during that Pacquiao fight. So hey, it is. But hold on. Now that I think about it, I think he got caught. I think he fought Cotto before he fought Pacquiao. I can't exactly remember, but I think he. Somebody remind me. Did he fight Cotto first, or did he fight Pacquiao first? He might have actually fought Cotto first. Or Lito says, do you think Teddy Atlas would really kneel down to Pacquiao if we say Pac beats Earl Spence? I think if he beats either one of those guys, I think Teddy Atlas still wouldn't give him credit. I think they would make up some type of excuse. Whether if he beat both of those guys. I just don't think Teddy Atlas likes Manny Pacquiao at all. I don't think he likes him or Freddie Roach. I think he likes Pacquiao even less because he deals with Freddie Roach. Papi Chulo Chino says, have you seen the Joshua Warrington fight? He fought the wrong fight, trying to fight Mexican style with an actual Mexican with bricks for hands. Josh Warrington. No, I didn't see a Josh Warrington fight. I think that's what I didn't watch it, man. I'll tell you the truth. I ain't caught that one yet. So much going on that I've been missing a lot of fights, man, here lately. Don says he fought durable fighters back then, even in the Philippines. His opponents worked in the construction as a loader. He was a beast. I didn't, before Barrera, I might have saw one Manny Pacquiao fight before he fought Barrera, and I can't remember who he was fighting, but it wasn't up until that point where he fought Barrera that I truly became a fan, just because of the fact that he picked him apart so easily, and Barrera was my favorite. I was a real Barrera fan. Like that was my favorite boxer at that point. Uh, uh, Besides Earl Morales. And I actually liked Floyd a little bit back then too, when he was Pretty Boy Floyd. So between Barrera, I could say was my favorite. Morales would be second, and then I followed Floyd at that time, and then Pacquiao was just now becoming into his own, and once he got into the public's eye, he just kind of took over. It was all Pacquiao after that. He took apart all my heroes in boxing except for Mayweather. And Mayweather really wasn't my hero in boxing. I thought Mayweather was a decent fighter back then. But then when he changed over into money, I didn't like his personality anymore. So I just stopped following him. And by the time I noticed Mayweather again in boxing, I was already a full-fledged Pacquiao fan. So I really wasn't fooling around with Mayweather no more. Barrera had already been taken out of boxing by Pacquiao. Morales had been taken out of boxing by Pacquiao. So it was all Pacquiao at that point. Let's move on here a little bit. Bond says, in Chirac, we call Pacquiao Pacquiao. Pacquiao. You in Chirac, bro? What part of the Chi you in, man? Salute to you up there. I've been up there one time in my life. I love Chicago because of the Bulls and Michael Jordan. I always say I'm going to go back up there, but I ain't been up there in a long time. I think I went up there in like 90. No, it wasn't. It was like 80. It was like 2003 or 2004, I think, when I went up there. It's a heck of a city, too, man. It's a big city. Manuel says, today, Pac-Man English is better than Coach Freddie. Hey, man. I would have to agree with that, but I would say they're about equal. Roach has problems, but I would say one thing about Freddie Roach, man. I give Freddie Roach a lot of credit for the fact that all the things he's been through in his life, man, and the fact he's dealing with the Parkinson's, and he's still going, man. He's never gave up. He's pursuing his passion and love in life, even with all his ailments and everything that kind of keeps him from being 100% normal. He's still pushing, man. So shout out to Freddie Roach, man. I like Freddie Roach. Plus he took a karate chop to the chest from a strength and conditioning coach. What, 60 or 70-year-old? How old is Freddie Roach? In his 60s, 60-year-old man, who can take a hi-ya from a hi-ya kick from a strength and conditioning coach. He gave him a Dave Chappelle, Charlie Murphy kick to the chest, man. He didn't even budge Freddie Roach. That's to say a lot about. I think that's why Manny Pacquiao don't fool with Alex Ariza, because he's not that good at strength and conditioning. Where he Charlie Murphy kicked Freddie Roach and he didn't even feel it. Poppy Chulo says Cotto first. See, I thought he fought Cotto before Pacquiao, so I think Pacquiao was kind of getting some revenge for Cotto when he fought Margarito, along with the fact that they were calling him all those names, and him and Brandon Rios. Poppy Chulo said, but what was caught by Mosley's trainer Nazim Richards? What was caught by Mosley's trainer Nazim Richards? What do you mean by that, Poppy? Because what did he knock? He knocked something out of Mosley's face or something? Alito says at least said that before. Atlas said that before. I'm sorry. Is Nakiti a samurai warrior? I don't even know who Nakiti. Nakanti? Who is that? Nakanti. Who is that? Is that a new fighter out there? There's so many new guys popping up, man. It's hard to keep up with some of these dudes, man. Man, my battery's running out on my other laptop. Hold on, let me plug it in real fast. Give me a second. Alright, got that together. That will kneel down that will kneel down to Pac if he beats. I think you were trying to say they will kneel down to Pac if he beats Crawford or Spence. Man, listen, I don't think they're gonna give him no credit still if he beats either one of those guys. I think that they want Pacquiao. The majority of commentators, especially at ESPN, want Pacquiao out of the sport. I think they feel like he's taken away from the younger guys becoming more popular. And they want the fans who follow him to follow the younger guys. But the problem is that the younger guys are not fighting each other, and they're not putting on the fights fans want to see. So, Manny Pacquiao fans are used to a certain level of competition, and these new guys ain't bringing that level of competition. So, hey, I don't think they're ever going to be as popular as Pacquiao is. Patrick Carter, Cotto first. Okay. Don says, is Bob Arum a mythical creature? What kind of mythical creature is Bob Arum? Y'all silly as hell. Bobby Chulo says Charlie Murphy. I'm Rick Jackson. Unity. Margarito was caught with bricks on his hands by Mosley's trainer. Okay, so he's the one who caught him with the brick gloves. It's hard to keep up with a lot of these stories, man, over the years, but I know somebody had caught him wrapping his hands up. But he still got. What's crazy is he got so demolished by Pacquiao. It's like, why was he even doing that? What was he? What was he thinking? What type of advantage was he actually getting from doing that? Because he's a big guy. So I mean, he was probably already stronger than most of his opponents. I don't understand why he felt like he needed to do that. I'm trying to figure out now what type of mythical creature Bob Earl. What type of mythical creature is Bob Earl, man? Man, y'all got me rolling. Man, Charlie Murphy, I appreciate that's just funny as hell. Margarita was called. Okay, I got that one already. Patrick Carter says it will fill out. It will fell out of his. It fell out of his raps. The trainer said something. Looked funny, huh? Bobby Trudeau says, "Rest in peace, Nassim Richardson, man. Rest in peace to the OG, man. For real though, him and Emmanuel Stewart. Those were two great trainers, man. You can't have nothing but good things to say about those guys, man. Man, my other computer's acting funny now, but let's move on to a little bit more Pacquiao news, man. We done went off on a tangent. We talking about Charlie Murphy kicks and stuff. All right, man. I had another article I wanted to touch on before I got out of here. This one comes from Three Kings Boxing Worldwide, man. So this says Manny Pacquiao on Crawford. I don't back away from any challenge. That's the name of the article. The last time we saw Manny Pacquiao 62-7, 239 KOs was in July 2019. He faced and defeated Keith Thurman to win the WBA Super World Welterweight title. Since then, you have heard very little from the Filipino legend. Now it seems that the fighter who is worldly known as Pac-Man is on the verge of fighting again. Because of his inactivity, Pacquiao was stripped of his title and named champion in recess by the WBA. However, on February 9, he announced that he is back in training. Adding fuel to the speculation, a return to the ring is imminent. He spoke with the Filipino Daily Tribute to discuss his future. He mentioned the possibility of fighting Mikey Garcia. However, who is the man at the top of his list? That would be current WBO welterweight champion Terence Bud Crawford, 37-0, 28 KOs. I like to fight somebody who has a title. We told Bob I get 40, Crawford gets 10. Even at age 42, Pacquiao says he feels great physically, far from the largest sized welterweight in the world. He claims his current weight is 152 pounds. Rumored for years, it is not the first time there has been talk of a fight between Pacquiao and Crawford. There have been flirtations of the bout for years now. The discussions first started back in 2015 when Crawford was ruling the roost at 140. Neither party sat down for serious negotiations. The situation is different now. A deal was close to being finalized for Pacquiao-Crawford fight in 2020 following Crawford's fourth round stoppage of a win over Kell Brook in November of that year. Promoter Bob Arum told reporters that a deal was very close. Unfortunately, things were put on pause due to C-19. Arum had hoped negotiations would resume in 2021 if the fight were to happen. To quote LeBron James, about damn time. In an ironic twist, the younger Crawford needs this kind of a bout right now more than Pacquiao. With time off to rest, the future Hall of Famer is chomping at the bit. He explained, "There is still plenty of fire in my belly." All right, y'all. So with all that being said, it's looking more and more like this is going to be the fight that's going to happen. I don't think Pacquiao wants anything less than Terence Crawford. I don't think the Spence fight is going to happen right now. I actually think Spence and PBC Boxing are counting on Pacquiao getting that fight and beating Terence Crawford so they can get that final belt over to the PBC, and that would have PBC holding every welterweight title boxing has. So I think it benefits PBC Boxing if Pacquiao gets that fight. I think it benefits Terence Crawford if he gets that fight, but if he loses, he stands to lose a lot. I think it benefits Manny Pacquiao to take that fight because it will be fan-friendly. I think it would sell. I think it brings him big money. I think it's the perfect return fight simply because I feel like that's a easier fight than the Spence fight is. I think everything plays right into the hands of that being the next fight. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Is that, with everything that's being said at this point, do y'all feel like it's leaning more toward the Pacquiao-Crawford fight than the Pacquiao-Spence fight happening? Because we definitely 100% sure won't be seeing Pacquiao fight either of the Garcias or Jordanius you guys at this point. Unfortunately, even though I like the you guys fight, I think that's a good fight. I just don't think it's a big enough draw. I don't think it's enough money around him fighting you guys. Poppy Chulo said, okay, I got that one. QQ says, what if Wilder became an NBA player and joined the Lakers? Every game they play, he would start arguing with LeBron James. Hey man, he would say LeBron James has some type of laser in his hand. Is why he's hitting the shot. He would come up with some excuse for why they lose. Y'all silly though, man. Leave Deontay Wilder alone, man. Tilo says, if Bob and Al get in the ring, who would you think win? Bob Arum versus Al Heyman. Y'all know Al Heyman's a thug, right? I was just watching some documentaries. Now that it's funny you brought that up because I'm watching these Tupac documentaries of who people think killed Tupac or whatever. I watched so many Tupac documentaries, it's crazy. But I found some old ones that I watched back in the day that I haven't seen in a while. And I noticed that Al Heyman, and I've heard this before, that Al Heyman used to promote rap concerts. You know, he used to buy the venues and put rap concerts on. So y'all know Al Heyman's a thug. So with that being said, Al Heyman will probably beat Bob Arum. I mean, and at this point, Bob Arum can't even, I was about to say something, but I ain't gonna say. At this point, Bob Arum can't even beat himself up. Let's put it that way. That's better. That's a better way of saying what I was about to say. He can't beat himself up. So I think Al Heyman would actually put it on him. I think the Teddy Atlas versus Freddie Roach fight is a much better fight. I think that's a way bigger. I think fans are interested, and I asked y'all the other day who's gonna put their $20 up with me so I can make this. That's gonna be my first promotion. That's gonna be the first Red Room Sports / Cardinal Red boxing fight that I put on. It's gonna be Atlas versus Roach in the brawl for it all, man. We gonna put that on. I got a $700 budget I'm trying to put together here, so I can put the Atlas versus Roach fight on. I gotta put y'all $20 in, man, to help me get this fight together. Let's move on, man, so I can get out of here. It's like 3:00 in the morning, man. All right. Hey, man. I sent you a link with translations on. It is Pacquiao on local news. You the one that's been hollering at me, Papi Chulo? Have you been hitting me up in the WhatsApp? Let me know where you sent that link at. Because if you sent it in the comment section, man, it's not going to let you send links in the comment section. You either got to send them to my Facebook page, or you got to holler at me on the WhatsApp, or hit me up on Instagram. Q says Bob Arum because he's a mythical creature. Oh, man. Hey, you keep saying Bob Arum's a mythical creature. What's his superpower? What's Bob Arum's superpower? If you talk to him too long, your hair gonna start falling out. Papi Chulo says, all right, brother, I need to go to sleep a little bit early, grind tomorrow. Okay, Papi Chulo, man, appreciate you for coming through, man. Good seeing you, brother. I'll definitely be back on here tomorrow, so, we can all chop it up once again. I ain't going to be on here too much longer myself. I got to get some rest, too, man. Migo Hana says, heart. With a cross in it. I don't know. What does that heart mean? Is that for me or is that for Pacquiao? Are you worried for Pacquiao? Migo Hana, let me know what you mean by that. Was the A side, B side inspired by AB Adrian? You know what's funny about that? Mayweather did come up with the AB side, and AB is Mayweather's friend, so that is a possibility. That's where he came up with that AB stuff. Y'all are silly as hell in this chat, man. I love this is what makes YouTube fun, man. Every time I get on here, I get the back of the skull headache from laughing half the time. I'm supposed to be reporting serious news to y'all, man. Here, this is boxing talk. We're supposed to be serious here. I'm supposed to have the stone face, and I'm supposed to be giving y'all what's real, man. But y'all be having me laughing. And I'm having pain all up in here. But I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it, man. Man. All right, so let's finish up this article, man, so we can get out of here. I guess that was the end of it. I got to move on to another article there. I'll see if there's any new news before I get out of here surrounding Manny Pacquiao and what's coming next. Pacquiao's next fight, and I think I did that one. So, no new news out right now. Pacquiao hasn't yet announced who his next opponent's going to be. But, like I discussed earlier, Bob Arum has received Pacquiao's offer. He is filling it out right now. I feel like he's going to counter offer with a 1530 or 1535, somewhere around there. And I do think this fight's going to happen sometime in May. I feel like it's all leaning, it's all working up toward a unification fight between those three guys. Who's going to be the two who gets to do the unification fight? Obviously, I think Spence has a high probability of coming out on the other side of all this if he fights Yordenis you guys. I think you can pretty much pencil Spence into the last round of the welterweight tournament is what I'm calling it. And if Pacquiao fights Crawford, me personally, I'm going with Pacquiao. I think you can pencil Pacquiao into the final round of the welterweight tournament. I think it'll end up being Pacquiao versus Spence for all those belts at some point at the end of 2021 or early 2022. But let me know what y'all think about that. And I'm going to get to the rest of the chat. We can chop it up for another 15 or 20 minutes before I get out of here. Necessary says, hey, Red, the talk around town is Pac asking too much for the fight. What is your opinion on the price he's asking? I mean, it's a huge price tag, and whatever everything going on in the world, is Pacquiao worth that type of money? We got to remember, Pacquiao got what? Pacquiao got $60 million to fight Floyd Mayweather. He was already getting $20 million a fight. So, I mean, at this point, why wouldn't he be making... If everything was still normal in the world, Pacquiao would be making somewhere around $50 million a fight. If none of this whole Verona stuff happened, as Captain Full G likes to put it, then I think Pacquiao's price tag would be $50 million right now. So I think $30 to $40 million is a reasonable price tag. I think people are only... Some fight fans would say he's pricing himself out of the fight because they feel like Pacquiao is too old to be commanding that type of money. I would say the complete opposite. I say he's still the most popular fighter out there besides Canelo Alvarez, who's actually still active and who can actually still sell pay-per-views. So why shouldn't he demand the highest price tag that he can get? And I actually think he wouldn't be pricing himself out if he asked for 50 or 60. I think he deserves from 30 to 60 million dollars per fight. So I don't think it's too much. I think asking Bob Arum to put up like $10 million is pushing it a little bit, but I think it's possible because of what he's going to recoup off of that fight. I think people think for some reason that it's not going to sell. But I think the complete opposite is going to happen because everybody's at home and everybody's actually about to get these third stimulus checks. So you're going to have a lot of disposable money whenever this fight does take place. I think that's something that people are forgetting. This next stimulus package is going to pass within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And this money is going to be distributed out. $1.9 trillion over the month of March and April, and by the time May hits, a lot of that $1.9 trillion is going to be hitting the market as far as people start using that money to buy things like disposable things like fights and PlayStations and stuff like that. So I think actually this is all coming together around the right time. It's going to actually be perfect timing because once all the stimulus stuff does hit, believe me, I think the stimulus stuff could actually have this fight do really big numbers. If you ask me, I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of disposable money in their hands when this fight takes place. Let's see. Where we at? Okay. Orlito Broner versus Clottey. Who you got? Then winner would face May. If Broner and Clottey fought, and that's who I was trying to think of yesterday when everybody says I look like Terence Crawford. People say I look like Terence Crawford. They say I look like Joshua Clottey. I've heard Tim Bradley. I don't know why. Or Don Cheadle. That's the one I hate. I hate that Don Cheadle comparison because I hate to admit it, but we do fucking look like twins. I mean, we do. My bad if it's any young people in here, but we do look like twins, man. But if Broner fought Clottey, I think Broner will win that fight. I think Broner's a little quicker than Clottey was back in the day. Clottey packed a serious punch. But I think Broner's defense and speed would have got him a points victory if he did. That would be a fantasy fight. I think that's a pretty good fight too. I think it would go out 12 rounds, but I think Broner would probably win on points. How you feel about Mayweather dreadlocks? Do Mayweather got dreadlocks? Are you serious? What? I haven't been paying no attention to Mayweather over the past couple of weeks. I gotta check that out when I get off here. QQ. Edrado Machado. No lie, you sound just like Earl Spence. Man, these comparisons be killing me, man. I don't. Oh man, y'all silly. Bobby Rick says, bro, PAX fights has bring in 1.275 billion in revenue. Is that an accurate number, Bobby Rick? How you come up with that number? I wouldn't be surprised, but how'd you come up with that number? Manuel says Pac versus Red is face and Earl's voice. You should take the fight and get your $10 million. Yeah. Oh man, it's comedy. Oh man, it's comedy. If they want to mistake the identity, give me $10 million, I take it, man. I ain't gonna turn down no $10 million. As a matter of fact, I would actually fight it if they got $10 million for real. That they throw, I go fight Manny Pacquiao for $10 million. He might think I'm Terence Crawford. Y'all silly, man. Y'all got my head hurting all up in here, man. I think I'm about to get out of here. Bob Arum shrunk Mayweather. Floyd used to be a giant. Interesting. All right, man. So drop y'all final comments, man. It's been almost 2 hours. I appreciate everybody for coming through. We got 23 likes, man. Could y'all please Pacquiao that like button, man, before we get out of here, man. Drop y'all final comments. We got 28 people in here, man. Please, Pacquiao the like button for me. Hook it, uppercut it, jab it, man. Just let me know you're in here. Drop me a comment as well, bro. Let me know what's going on with you. If you don't say nothing else, just drop your name so I can know who you are, man. Give you a little shout out real quick before we get out of here. So, the news of the day is Bob Arum did receive the offer from Pacquiao. He's negotiating with Sean Porter as well. He's only putting up $1 million for the Sean Porter fight. So, man, 9 times out of 10, that fight ain't happening. It's looking like Pacquiao versus Crawford is going to be a goal for sometime in May or June. And right now, we got to wait and see if they either accept that $10 million offer or they counter offer up to somewhere around $13, $14, or $15 million for that fight. As far as everything else, y'all let me know what y'all think about that. But as we end the chat, man, and get ready to get out of here. Q said, I thought you was Terence Crawford. You have no idea how many people thought that when I first started doing this, man. Especially when I didn't have, when I grow my goatee out, I look more like Crawford for some reason. I mean, we are shaped very similar to each other. He might be like an inch taller than I am, but we are very, it's almost laughable, man. It's real laughable, man. Man, you guys, y'all killing me. Bobby Rick says, if Bob Arum is a mythical creature, then what is Al Heyman? Oh my God, y'all retarded, dude. Holy Inferno says, what's up, man? Glad you still doing your thing. I appreciate you for coming through, Holy Inferno. Oh, I ain't going nowhere, man. We gonna be here, man, to the wheels. We gonna rock till the wheels fall off, bro. I'm gonna be here, bro, delivering this Pacquiao news, man, and keeping all other Pacquiao fans and boxing fans in general entertained, man. And I want to say this too. I hope, once Pacquiao's career is over and I do move into starting to talk about other subjects as far as fights, other fighters that y'all still support. I hope all the Pacquiao fans still support the channel once Pacquiao's career, because I am eventually going to move over into doing other fights and other fighters and other sports news as far as basketball, football, and stuff like that. So y'all be prepared for that. Just know that it's not, eventually Pacquiao's career is going to be over, and we are going to eventually move on to something else. So hope you guys stick around for that, man. Don said Al Heyman is father time. Wow. Hey, I will say one thing about Al Heyman. He if you look at his pictures from back when he was promoting the shows, and then Al Heyman today, he don't look like he's aged today. But people say that same thing about me. They say when I run into friends I haven't seen in 10 years, they be like, man, you still look exactly the same as we did when we was out here doing stupid stuff. I be like, man, what are you doing? I be like, I don't know. I just, I don't know what I did right or wrong, man. But I guess it's still whatever the Terence Crawford gene in me or whatever, man. I still, to me, I know why I look like I haven't aged though. It's just dark skinned people we don't look like we age until we get really, really old. When you're dark skinned, you can't see the aging process happening. It's kind of cloaked, I guess. But I guess that's the only benefit of being dark skinned. It is what it is. Porter turned down $2 million a few days ago. Porter a duck. I mean, listen, man. Porter, he obviously has a number he's interested in, because if someone offered Terence Crawford $2 million to fight them, Terence Crawford's gonna turn it down because he's guaranteed $3, $4, $5 million from Bob Arum. So if Porter's used to getting $3, between $2.5, $3, or $4 million a fight, there's no way he's gonna take $1 million or $2 million from Bob Arum to fight Terence Crawford. That would just be crazy, and I wouldn't call him a duck for turning it down. I would say he's a decent businessman, because that when it comes to business, that's not a smart business move. Bobby Rick, I'm dead. LOL. Man, this has been. It always turns into a lightweight comedy show at the end of. But that's what I like, man. This is why going live is a lot more fun than just making videos, man. Because I think y'all feel like I'm personality. A lot of people felt like I'm personality-less when they watch my videos, because I like to deliver boxing news a little more seriously, I guess, than other people do. Some people are very animated with how they deliver the boxing news. Some people do it, in their own way. They might work out and talk boxing, or they might, get drunk and talk boxing. Some people, they do comedy while they talk boxing. I try to give people straight boxing talk, but when you do it live, you get feedback from people, so you get to bounce your personality off of other people, and you get to bounce ideas off of other people. So it makes it real interesting for me, man. And I feel like from now on, I'm probably going to do boxing talk live more than I do make videos. So as long as y'all keep supporting it, man, I'll keep putting it out there for you. I appreciate everybody for coming through. Y'all, whoever's left in here, if you haven't hit the like button, please smash that like button for me. Pacquiao that like button for me. Hook it, jab it, uppercut it, man. The more y'all hit that like button, the more we'll get shared out, and the more the algorithm will appreciate what we're doing. So definitely hit that like button if you can for me, man. Let me finish these last few comments, and I think I'm about to get out of here. Floyd lost the bet to Castano. Floyd lost the bet to Castano fight. Now he big sad. Hey, Floyd, and I would agree. I think Floyd did lose that. I think it's Castellano. fight. I think that's the one fight he did lose besides the Pacquiao fight in his career. But hey, it is what it is. The record books got what they got, so hey, we just got to move on. And hopefully, the only thing we can hope for as far as Floyd Mayweather goes is will he give Pacquiao the rematch that he deserves? Don Q said, "How Porter a duck? He got two arms and two legs. Is Pac versus Canelo possible? That would be up to Canelo. Pacquiao, I think it's a great fight. Orlito, I think that's a great fight, man. Pacquiao versus Canelo would make huge money. The problem with that is Canelo has went so far up in weight. If he was to drop back down to say like 154 or 156 now, it would be too easy of a fight for Pacquiao because he would be weight drained. He would have to drop almost 30 pounds to fight Pacquiao. So I think Pacquiao versus Triple G might be an easier fight to make right now than Pacquiao versus Canelo, just because Canelo would have to drop so much weight to fight Pacquiao. It would be a great fight, though. Don't get me wrong. I think it would be a great fight. I think Pacquiao would give Canelo problems with his speed, but I don't know if it can happen. Holy Inferno says Pacquiao is not moving to 154. Pacquiao himself said that many of times. He's definitely not going to move there and campaign there. But I think if the right fight came along at 154 and the right price came along at 154, just like he did with Margarito, he would be willing to take it. It would just have to be the right time, the right price, and all that, man. Holy Inferno says, Don QQ, we not doing this, okay? Hey, but I would love to see the Canelo fight. I would love to see him fight Triple G. I don't know if it's possible because of the weight differences right now. And Triple G having to drop so much weight. I'm just not sure. How did Andre Ward know Triple G was a little G? What do y'all think about Andre Ward? Did Andre Ward retire too quickly? I'll let that be the last question of the chat, man, before we get out of here. Do y'all think Andre Ward could come back and make some waves in the sport of boxing again? Because I only caught Ward right at the end of his career. I didn't really know about Ward until he was coming down to his last 3 or 4 fights. And then he retired out of nowhere, and I didn't get to enjoy his career like I would have liked to. Don QQ, he threw a bunch of smiley faces up there, man. But what do y'all think about that? Do y'all think Andre Ward could come back and give these guys a run for their money? Yeah, me too. Pacquiao would have given Canelo and Triple G problems. I'd be a little worried for Triple G fighting, though no cap. I think the Triple G fight would be a dangerous fight, but I don't think Triple G can handle the type of speed Pacquiao is going to bring to the table. I think because Canelo's speed gave Triple G trouble, I think Pacquiao's speed would really give Triple G trouble. The thing would be, can Pacquiao take Triple G's punches when he does land them? That would be the thing that worries me. I think I'm more worried about the Canelo fighting Pacquiao because of Canelo's technique being so solid at this point in his career. Right at now, if they would have did it 10 years ago when Pacquiao was just a phenomenon, I think Pacquiao would have ran through Canelo because Canelo would have been the Canelo that got beat by Floyd Mayweather, and Pacquiao would have been just that phenomenon that was running through everybody. But I think now Pacquiao is still a great fighter, but Canelo has risen almost up to that same level to where he's a great fighter too. So I think the technique of Canelo might give Pacquiao a little bit of problems. I still would have Pacquiao winning based off his speed, but I think it would be a really dangerous fight for all 12 rounds. I think Pacquiao might be able to edge him out on the scorecards based off of landing a lot of speedy combos, though. But that's just my personal opinion. I think that Triple G fight's a great fight, though, man. I would love to see that fight, but I doubt either one of those fights happen, man. So y'all go ahead and drop your final comments down here in the comment section, man. I give about 1 or 2 more minutes, and I think I'm gonna get out of here. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm surprised all you guys are up. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. We definitely got to do this again tomorrow. I'm hoping that is, it's the beginning of the week, and they'll drop some really some good news from Pacquiao coming up tomorrow. We just have to wait and see, man, what's actually going to happen. I can't wait for this Terence Crawford fight. I feel like it's going to happen. I think this is the best fight out there for Pacquiao. As far as a return fight, I think it's not as easy as the Yadanius you guys fight would be. But I think it's more lucrative. It's a bigger fight for fans. It's a more lucrative for Pacquiao. And if he's only going to fight 2 more times and then retire, I think those are the best 2 fights out there for him would be Crawford and then Spence. And I think in that order, too. I think if he's going to fight both guys, he should fight the easier of the 2 fights first. And I think the easier of those 2 fights is Crawford, in my opinion. So more power to Pacquiao, man. I can't wait for this all to play out. What if the Charlos were triplets? Oh man, that would be crazy if it was 3 of them. Mills World. At this point of his career, Pac would be giving up too much advantage against Canelo or Triple G, but you can never count out Pac out since his narrative has always been defying the odds. I can't do nothing but agree with you there, Mills World, man. I don't never put nothing past Pacquiao, but at this point, because of the weights, I don't see that fight, either one of those fights happening. It would be great fights if they could make them, but I think because of the weights, it won't happen. But you can't, like you said, because of Pacquiao's willingness to defy the odds and just step in there with anybody and test himself, you can't put nothing past the guy. I like I said, I got him beating Triple G. Canelo would I think would it would concern me just a little bit. At this point, the new version of Canelo would concern me. 10 years ago, Pacquiao would walk through both of those guys. It wouldn't even be a challenge. Is Pac older than them? Who, Canelo and Triple G? Yeah, he's older than both of those guys. I think he might not be that much older than Triple G. Triple G might be like 36 or 37. I think Canelo's like 33 or 34, somewhere around there. Can Mayweather grow his hair back? See, I must have been kidding about the Mayweather dreadlocks, man. Y'all play too much. I don't know. You know what? I don't ever remember. I can't even remember Mayweather with her. I'm trying to remember. Did he have? I think he had a fade when he was Pretty Boy Floyd. But now that I think about it, I don't. Yeah, I think he had a fade when he was Pretty Boy Floyd. I don't remember him ever having like an afro or anything, but I do think he had a fade when he was Pretty Boy Floyd. The QQ says, why is Gerald Miller a big body? I don't know, man. I've heard of Gerald Miller. I still haven't saw him fight, but I've heard his name before. Orlito says, wig is good. Don says, can Billy Joe become Billy Bob? Alright, man. I think those are gonna be the last few comments, man. You know what? We 2 minutes from being on here for 2 hours. We still got 30 people in the chat, man. Can we get the 30 likes before we hit 2 hours worth of live stream, man? Can y'all give me the 30 likes? Pack out that like button for me, man. Give me the 30 likes before I get out of here. So when we get on here tomorrow, we'll have a lot more people in the chat. We have an even better conversation than we had today. If you're new, man, to the channel, if you're new to the chat, type your name in the chat, man. Let me know who you are so I can shout you out real fast before I get out of here. I appreciate you for coming through, showing the channel love, man, and always showing the true king, who we know as Manny Pacquiao, but we'll call him the king of the sport of boxing, man, over here. You know, for showing him love, man. So let's see if we can get to 30 likes, man, before we hit. We got 48 seconds, man, to get to 30 likes. If anybody in here ain't hit the like button, man, please Pacquiao the like button for me right now, man. Give me the 30 likes, man, before I get out of here. Hook it, uppercut it, jab it, man. Do whatever you gotta do. Let me know you up in here. All right. Q said, is Keith Thurman secretly a pastor at church? He might be. I be thinking that about a lot of boxers, man. A lot of people want to be a preacher, man. Julio says, Pac beat Crawford. Pac beat Crawford. Pac beat Crawford. I hope so, man. I just want to see the fight. Who created Bob? Who created Bob Arum? I would say the Wicked Witch of the North created Bob Arum, man. He's I think Bob Arum actually started. I think Bob Arum actually played in The Wizard of Oz as one of the Oompa Loompas. not the Oompa Loompas. The Oompa Loompas was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But I think he was one of the little people from The Wizard of Oz, man. If you go back and watch The Wizard of Oz and you remember the little people, I think that was actually Bob Arum's first time on TV, man. It's getting to be too late, man. We gotta get out of here. There's 34 people in here right now. If you're new to the chat, man, hit the like button for me. Pack out that like button for me before we get out of here. We already passed the time limit. We ain't making it to 30. We got the 28 though. And I appreciate y'all for getting me to 28. Can we get to 30 before I end the chat, man? I'm gonna get to this last question. I'm gonna get out of here. If you're new to the chat, man, new to the channel, drop your name real fast. Let me know who you are before we get out of here so we can shout you. Keith is good at rhymes, though. That's what preachers are, man. Preachers might as well be rappers, man. They good with wordplay. Rappers are great with wordplay, and preachers are great with wordplay. You know, that's what makes them the orators of their time, or whatever you want to call them. You know, they have the ability to articulate very well. Floyd got SpongeBob money. Man, I wish they both would send him and SpongeBob could send me something, man. I ain't gonna turn it down. Ricardo or Lito? Richardo or Lito? Not Orlito. Ortilo. Ortilo. My bad, Ortilo. Not Orlito. It's Ortilo. Okay, my bad. I appreciate you for correcting me there. So, Richila Orlito. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I know I'm pronouncing the second part right, but the first part is kind of hard to pronounce. If y'all saw my real name, oh man! All right, we're gonna end it right there. Banis Kenneth says Pacquiao for the win, man. Straight up, bro. We got 29 likes today, man. Had 26 people in here right now. I appreciate all of y'all for coming through, man. It's been a great conversation. A lot of big news I hope is going to be dropping next week. So y'all stay tuned, man. Hit that like button and subscribe, please, man. And ring that notification bell when you subscribe, bro. So you can find out when I'm online and when I drop new content. It's your boy Cardinal Red, man. This is Ali Land Boxing Talk, Red Room Sports, and we are out of here. Salute to everybody, man. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Much love. See ya.